Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to be offering Eating for a Healthy Immune System, being led by Sabrina Hafner, our dietitian, and she is so knowledgeable about this topic, and we are lucky to have her presenting this from her home. And any questions are welcome throughout the whole thing. Just enter your questions into the chat, and I will ask Sabrina as we go. Meanwhile, everybody will be on mute so that we can clearly hear what Sabrina has to say. Please send any questions. All questions are good questions, and we'll answer them as they come in, or I'll present them to Sabrina as they come in, and then we'll leave a little bit of time. And so unless anybody has any initial questions, I'm going to turn it over to Sabrina to get us started on a healthy immune system.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Sabrina Hafner, and I am the Registered Dietitian for UMass Dining. I hope everyone is staying healthy and well. Like Kathy said, I am in my kitchen at home. In fact, my fiance and I had just moved into this house just before COVID happened, mid-February. So we feel very fortunate to have kind of gotten situated here just before everything kind of became a whole roller coaster. But anyways, I'd like to thank Kathy Wicks for inviting me to present today. Really excited to talk about foods that help boost your immunity, which is such a hot topic right now, especially at a time like this. So before I begin, I do want to disclose, since everyone is kind of getting their information everywhere, everyone's going on, X diet, people are, getting more tonic water because it prevents you from getting COVID, all these diet myths. I do want to disclose that there's not one food that 100% prevents you from getting COVID-19. In fact, evidence-based guidelines such as regular hand washing and social distancing are strongly recommended and are proven to be the most effective methods of reducing risk and the spread of this disease. So what we do know in a nutritional standpoint is that a balanced nutrition provides us the opportunity provides us the opportunity to change how our body responds to stress and infection, as well as the severity of symptoms that goes along with those states. So today I will kind of give you an overview on what I will be talking about in the next 45, 50 minutes. So I will start off by sharing some general nutrition and my philosophy of a healthy, balanced nutrition as a registered dietitian. Then I'm going to share some of the many key nutrients that is scientifically proven to help boost your immune system. Then I will walk you through kind of a day of eats, starting from breakfast all the way to dinner, and just showing you some ideas of nutrient-dense meals that you can do at home. So does anyone have any questions before I get started? No? All right. So some nutrition basics before I get into some specific nutrients. So I like to remind everyone that a balanced diet consists of macronutrients, which are your proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Be sure to get a variety of those to your plate as much as possible, alongside with various micronutrients such as vitamins and minerals that can come from those macronutrients naturally. These vitamins and minerals also assist our body in functioning well and maintaining that healthy immune system. And what I like to tell people who are seeking just general nutrition tips on immunity is to always aim to eat the rainbow, right? And to follow the Harvard's healthy eating plate. So I have this diagram right here, and I believe I sent Tyler the visual of what this diagram looks like, if you don't mind sharing that with the public.
Yep, give me just 1 second here.
So the diagram looks a little bit like that. And what I love about this diagram is how simple it is and how it's so easy to follow. So it shows you a picture of a plate, and you can stop screen sharing if you want, it doesn't really matter. But I tell students who come meet with me to fill your plate up, half your plate up with fruits and vegetables, because that's where you're gonna get a lot of your antioxidants, your phytochemicals, your fiber, and your vitamins and minerals. I try to tell them to put that on your plate first so you don't run out of room later. Then I'm going to guide them in choosing a source of protein. So that could be coming from an animal source or a vegan or vegetarian source. So, you know, like chicken, beef, or the vegetarian vegan sources like lentils, nuts and seeds, and beans. Then I tell them to choose a starch, which comprises the last quarter of your plate. And per the National Dietary Guidelines, try to aim to have at least half of your starch intake coming from whole grain sources. So whole grain sources such as, you know, brown rice, quinoa, whole grain pasta, whole grain bread, lots of really great fat soluble vitamins and lots of really healthy fiber to help promote a healthy gut from those whole grains. And then on the top left is the healthy oils. So healthy oils can be coming from like olive and canola oil, or nuts and seeds, avocados. The list kind of goes on. But what I like about having healthy fats into your diet is that it helps reduce inflammation. So that also ties into immunity. And then this visual also contains a glass of water to make sure that you stay hydrated throughout the day. I know in the beginning of quarantine, it was so hard for me to stay hydrated. So now I carry water around all the time, so I don't have that problem anymore. And then the last thing that the visual touches is to stay active. And I won't get into that today, but the guideline, the national guideline recommends about 150 minutes of moderate physical activity per week. So that's about 2.5 hours of, you know, power walking, like jogging, power yoga, kind of just upping your heart rate for 2.5 hours a week. So yeah, by getting a variety onto your plate allows your body to receive the nutrients it needs to thrive and to maintain that healthy immune system. So now that I talked about the general nutrition, now I'd like to dissect that a bit more and touch on some of the 3 of the many key nutrients to consider getting enough of in order to maintain that resilient and healthy immune system. So based off of research.
Sabrina, I have one quick question.
Oh yeah, sure.
So when you're planning a plate like that and you have dishes that are like mixed ingredients where you've got, you know, kind of a grain and a vegetable and a, you know, maybe a fat all in one dish, how do you work with that same rubric of the, you know, how to divide the plate up?
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So something like a pasta bake or a casserole or something like that.
Right.
Sure.
Like
yeah, no, that's it.
Salad or something like that.
A what?
Like a grain salad.
A grain salad, right? Because sometimes, you know, you don't have that, like you can't construct the plate to look exactly like this healthy eating plate. So I think just keeping in mind the plate as a general guide, right? So if you're thinking of One example is like a pasta bake. It has more carbohydrates, not enough, like not a whole lot of vegetables, not, maybe the pasta is white pasta. Keep in mind that, and maybe have a smaller portion of it, and then try to enhance that with more vegetables on your plate, and then maybe add some beans for that complex carbohydrate and healthy protein kind of option. But when it comes to a power salad, which I will actually be making later on in this presentation, it's also just, you know, keeping the healthy plate as a general guide. So you're not going to see your plate ultimately ending up like this if it's a power salad, but just think when you're constructing a power salad, like, okay, so what's my whole grain? What's my vegetable? What's my fruit? What's my healthy protein? And then lastly, what's my healthy fat on this power salad? So I will actually be constructing that later. So thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So like I was saying before, so the three key nutrients that I will be touching on today are vitamin C, zinc, and vitamin D. So let's start off with vitamin C. So vitamin C is a vitamin that enhances the functions of many enzymes all over your body in order to help the body function. And what I love about vitamin C too is it also is a potent antioxidant. So it helps limit inflammation and tissue damage associated with immune response. And in nutritional studies, we found that vitamin C supplementation was shown to significantly reduce the incidence of respiratory tract infections, as well as reduce a person's duration of stay in a hospital, as well as their need for mechanical ventilation. So really interesting stuff, very relatable, especially at a time like this. So what are some foods high in vitamin C? Can anyone in the audience share maybe a fruit or vegetable that they know that contains high amounts of vitamin C?
We just had peppers come in, citrus.
Perfect. Yes, those are really great sources of vitamin C. And in this bowl, I have a few other examples, like kiwi is actually, it has higher amounts of vitamin C than an orange. And then like someone in the audience said, citrus fruits like oranges, lemons, and limes. And then also peppers are extremely high in vitamin C, way more vitamin C than an orange. So I have here a spectrum of peppers in different colors. Can anyone guess which color pepper has the most vitamin C in it?
Anyone?
Any guesses?
Go ahead, yes. Yellow.
Yellow, okay. Well, yellow is high. They're all really high in vitamin C, but the color that actually has the most vitamin C and actually vitamin A is the red pepper. So fun fact, and it's also the sweetest out of all of the peppers. Green is the more bitter one. So a general rule to know whether or not a fruit or vegetable has vitamin C in it is that it's either a bright warm color, right? So your best bet of having, you know, fruits and or vegetables with vitamin C is by the color and whether or not it's like it's a warm color. Other vitamin C foods can be, you know, leafy greens like spinach and kale, as well as broccoli, tomatoes, the list goes on. And now we're gonna move on to zinc. So zinc is a mineral, and we know that inadequate levels of zinc limits a person's ability to mount an immune response to infection. Studies also show that adequate supplementation of zinc leads to lower incidence of acute respiratory infections by 35% and shortens the durations of flu-like symptoms. So foods high in zinc, can anyone guess? This is a little bit hard because zinc is not as popular as vitamin C?
Anybody want to guess? Greens like spinach?
Not quite. I'm sure that there's minimal zinc in spinach, but if you're thinking of zinc, I would suggest looking at your protein sources. So
I
like
had
beef,
somebody else say
chicken.
nuts and seeds.
Oh yes, nuts and seeds are really high in zinc, lentils, and then your animal proteins like pork, especially pork chops, beef, especially beef liver, chicken, especially chicken legs. Great. So here's an example of zinc, which is a bowl of trail mix. And then lastly, we're going to talk, the last mineral or vitamin I'm going to be talking about is vitamin D. So lots of scientific evidence show that vitamin D supplementation lowers the odds of developing acute respiratory tract infections, which are assumed to be caused by viruses. So the studies that I've read didn't look at COVID patients per se, but they did look at people with seasonal flus that were caused by the H1N1 virus. So some foods that are high in vitamin D, and you guys can guess along the way, but I'm gonna share some in terms of time. So some foods that are high in vitamin D are, you know, eggs, especially egg yolks actually is the content in eggs that are high in vitamin D. There's actually no vitamin D in egg whites. So be sure to eat the whole egg if possible. Salmon or other fish are really high in vitamin D as well. And then fortified food items such as milk, milk substitutes, and an assortment of cereal. So actually the new nutrition fact label now has vitamin D displayed. So be sure to check out vitamin D when the next time you go grocery shopping. So with that said, I did mention some micronutrients that do boost immune systems, but I should reiterate and say that individual foods and nutrients itself don't offer special protection. In fact, each stage of the body's immune response relies on the presence of a variety, right? A variety of macronutrients and micronutrients. So like I said before, be sure to eat the rainbow and as much as possible, try to follow this healthy eating plate guideline. And then if you don't find yourself, you know, eating the rainbow and eating a variety due to like supply or preference reasons, then maybe consult your doctor in maybe starting to take a multivitamin and multimineral supplement. That's also a pretty good substitution. And Kathy, just let me know if there's any questions along the way as well. But now that I got through kind of the nutrition science aspect, I will now walk you through a day of eats. So some meal and snack ideas that maybe you can start doing at home, since most of you are working from home. I'm going to start off with breakfast, and I will be making a green smoothie. So I don't know if many of you are too busy for breakfast. I know I was, or I am sometimes. So I rely on a smoothie because I know I can get a lot of my macro and micronutrients through it. And then it also takes me less than 5 minutes to make and clean up. And I can show you how easy it is with this example. So the 4 components that I like to generally use in my smoothies are 1, a fruit or vegetable, because that's where you can get most of your fiber and your micronutrients. Secondly, I like to add a protein source into my smoothie because a lot of nutritional studies show that breakfast high in protein actually can help suppress appetite and can help increase your satiety level. So it makes you feel full longer and it helps stabilize your blood sugar throughout the day. So I have my favorite protein powder, but if you don't have protein powder, a really great source of protein to add to your smoothie is Greek yogurt or a Greek yogurt substitute. Then I like to add a healthy fat into my smoothie as well, and that could be something like chia seeds, flax seeds, avocado. I like putting nut butters into my smoothie just because I love the taste of peanut butter. And then my last component into my smoothie, I love to add a fluid just to make that smoothie-like consistency. And I am really loving just vanilla almond milk just because I like the taste of vanilla. It's also really high in vitamin D. Oh, another fun fact about vitamin D when you're reading the food label is when you see the word alpha tocopherol, it sounds like gibberish, but that just is a fancy way of saying vitamin D. That means it was fortified into the food. All right, so I'm going to start by adding my base, which is spinach. So I like to add frozen spinach to my smoothie so it can, you know, be a smoothie-like consistency. Then I'm gonna add
So should you also add a frozen component, Sabrina?
I guess it depends on the consistency and if you want the smoothie cold. So if you don't have frozen spinach, you have fresh spinach, then or a fresh fruit, then I would add maybe an ice cube or two if you like it cold. Some people like their smoothies warm, and that's fine too. And then I'm going to add some fresh strawberries. So spinach and strawberries are really high in vitamin C. So about half a cup or a cup of frozen spinach and a quarter cup of strawberries can actually, if you're prescribed a 2,000 calorie diet, that already is 100% of your vitamin C intake. Fun fact. And next I will add a scoop of protein. So this particular protein powder is vanilla coconut flavored, which I'm loving because it's starting to approach summer. Then I will add my healthy fat. So now I have peanut butter, and peanut butter is high in zinc. That's why I'm choosing to put that in my smoothie this morning. And then lastly,
Tina, do you have any recommendations about protein powders?
recommendations. What am I looking for? So that is a good question. So things like pea protein and a lot of the vegetarian plant-based proteins are actually an incomplete source of amino acids. So we do want to have that complete source. So sometimes, like if you have a pea protein, it's good to pair it with peanut butter, a legume, so that it makes it a complete protein. So I think about it that way. And if you're not a vegan, then I would say a really great source of a complete protein is whey or casein. This one is collagen. It's a collagen protein powder that I happen to have. Collagen is from bovine, so from beef, and it is a complete source of protein. So I don't know if that answered the audience member's question, but I do look for complete sources of protein as much as possible.
Thank you.
So I'll add a scoop of that. Oh, I already did. So I guess 2 scoops. And now I will add about 1.5 cups of vanilla almond milk, maybe a little bit more. And just to read the nutrition fact label, a cup of almond milk is, if you're prescribed a 2,000 calorie diet, already meets 25% of your vitamin D intake. But you don't have to use almond milk. You can use dairy milk, you can use soy milk, rice milk, you can even use 100% juice or coconut water. You can definitely be creative when it comes to making smoothies. So I'm sorry if this is a little loud. I did test, audio test this yesterday, and it didn't seem too loud, but and there's my smoothie. Super easy. I just take the blade, I wash it, put this top on, get a straw, and I'm good to go for breakfast. Super easy. So this is one really great example, especially if you're a busy person, to have for breakfast. And you are just working from home. This is kind of my go-to.
So do you fit all of the micronutrients into your smoothie?
Not all of the micronutrients, unfortunately, but in terms of macronutrients, the only thing I didn't touch on is a whole grain. But fruit actually has a lot of carbohydrates in it. So when I, let's say, go for a run or work out in the morning, I tend to put a little bit more fruit to up my carbohydrate intake. Another really great source, if you do want to add in a whole grain, is maybe add some oats into your smoothie. If you blend it up, it becomes more granular, and it doesn't really taste much of anything, and helps you feel full longer.
Great. So those are the macronutrients. Sorry if I said micro.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in terms of micronutrients, I did touch on actually the 3 micronutrients I had discussed before. Vitamin C was coming from spinach and strawberries. Zinc was coming from peanut butter, and vitamin D was coming from almond milk.
Great. Do you have any other combinations that you really like?
Ooh, yes. So if I was craving something chocolatey, so I love, I either get a cocoa powder, or I have chocolate powder, and I make either a peanut butter chocolate type of smoothie. So I put 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, either any kind of protein powder I have, and cocoa powder, or I have, chocolate protein powder, almond milk, a little bit of spinach, not so much, maybe a banana, and blend that up to make it kind of like Reese's peanut butter cup, or even almond joy. Oh my gosh, I love the dessert smoothies. I have that when I have a sweet tooth in the morning. For an almond joy, you can put coconut milk in it, almond butter, chocolate protein powder, and the other fruits and vegetables, you can put a little bit of spinach, some banana, blend it up, maybe add some coconut flakes on top, and it tastes just like an almond joy. Super
Nice.
Delicious.
I have one more question. Do you have any thoughts about protein shakes that you purchase?
That what?
Protein shakes that you purchase? I think that those are the pre-made protein shakes.
So are you talking about the protein powder? Is that what?
I think that they're looking to just wonder about the pre-made protein shakes. Do you have an opinion about those?
I don't really, if you're talking about the meal replacement shakes, I guess I think it would be a brand by brand basis. I would look at the nutritional profile of those shakes and see, is this, what I want in my body. But generally, if you have it every once in a while, or really anything is good every once in a while. I think everything is pretty good in moderation, but I don't have a brand in mind. I don't personally buy protein shakes, and I don't know too much about it, admittedly, but I can look more into it for that person.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
That's it right now.
Awesome. So I have breakfast here. Now I will transition to a lunch and or dinner. So I don't know if, for people who know me personally, I like to stay busy throughout the week, and sometimes I'm just too lazy to cook Monday through Friday, just because I have so many things usually going on. And when I'm hungry, I do want to just make something in 10 minutes or less. And I'm so used to the dining commons, right? So I just go down, just put everything in a plate and eat it. So I kind of replicated that a little bit. When I started working from home, I started meal prepping on Sundays, and just got a bunch of proteins, fruits and vegetables, starches, all together, and put them in individual see-through containers like these, and put them in my fridge so it's visible and I know what is available for me when I'm hungry. And so now I can make a power bowl that we had talked about earlier. And has anyone been to Greenfields at the campus center? It's awesome. It's like a build your own power bowl type concept. And what I love about it is that I feel so energized and refreshed after eating it. So I'm going to be making a Greenfields power bowl today. So, and I'll show you that it's super easy. I have all of the ingredients I need, and I have a lot more of these chopped up vegetables in my fridge so that I am fully prepared to make kind of any bowl I want throughout the week. And I have usually maybe 3 or 4 different kinds of dressings depending on what flavor profiles I'm craving that day or that meal. All right. So I'm going to start off with a fruit with a vegetable. So I have some salad greens here in this Tupperware container. I'm going to add to my bowl. Gonna add some cherry tomatoes. See how it's super easy when you meal prep? You can just put things together so easily. I have some beets that I had roasted on Sunday. Some red onion, chopped up. Some sweet potato. And then my rainbow of bell peppers. So I'm going to add some red bell peppers onto my bowl. Some orange. Green. And yellow. Then I will add my protein. And today I have black beans and hard-boiled egg, as well as some feta cheese to put on top. So I'm gonna add some black beans to my bowl. A couple hard-boiled eggs. So Kathy, I am keeping in mind the Harvard healthy eating plate. So I start off filling my bowl with fruits and vegetables, then adding my healthy source of proteins, and then I will add my starch, and I have quinoa here already prepped. Like that. And then for my healthy fat today, I have an avocado and balsamic dressing with olive oil. So, and that is how easy it is to make a simple power bowl for lunch at home. So, and what's nice here is that the containers are already all ready to be put back in the fridge. Super simple, super easy. If I can show you my fridge, there's chicken, there's beef, there's edamame, there's an assortment of different dressings, and meal prepping only took me about 2.5 hours on Sunday to do. And what I love doing, and this is in psychology, I am also I did study psychology when I went to UMass, is temptation bundling. So temptation bundling is bundling your shoulds and your wants together. So when I am doing something that I should be doing, like meal prepping, one way to make it fun is to add something enjoyable to it. So sometimes I have my fiance come help me out, and that's the way we can bond together. Sometimes I have my laptop and I binge watch a show while I meal prep. Rather than binge watching on the sofa, I could be productive while binge watching the show, or listening to a really great audiobook or a podcast, or like last Sunday, I was just jamming out to music and just singing along. So lots of fun things you can do while meal prepping to make the time go by fast, and it also just saves so much time during the week.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Is there a particular order that is better to put the Power Bowl together in? Like, would it be bad to put the grains on the bottom, or is it just that order because you want to focus on having more vegetables, and instead of starting with the vegetables and adding the other things afterwards? So could you just talk about that for a second?
Yeah, sure. So I think that if you keep the whole Harvard healthy eating plate in mind, it really doesn't matter what you put in, like the order in which you put into the bowl. When I guide students in healthy eating, vegetables and fruits aren't the first thing that they think of. So I tell them to focus on fruits and vegetables on your plate first, because a lot of times they say, Sabrina, I ran out. I didn't have room on my plate, like I didn't have time to get a second plate. They have all these excuses. So I try to reinforce the fact that they should be eating vegetables. Maybe putting that on your plate first would be helpful. But it really doesn't matter the composition, so to speak, as long as you're getting those nutrients in. But yeah, this is kind of just for like photographic purposes. Usually it looks a little bit more messy than that. You can put it in a salad bowl and toss it with dressing, and then put it onto your bowl if that's easier for you. It's a little bit more cleanup, but also in addition, there's really not much cleanup here, if you haven't noticed. So super easy, super simple, and straightforward.
Nice. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
It does look great.
Yeah. All right. Well, so again, I do want to reiterate that, healthy foods are great and all, but it also is crucial that, again, we pay attention to our public health guidelines. So while diet plays an important role, we should be that isn't the one thing we should be focusing on to build that healthy immune system. Lots of other factors play into building a healthy immune system, such as sleep or exercise. Lots of different factors come into the mix, and diet is just one very important complementary role in the mix. But yeah, that's all I have for you. I can open it up. We have about 20 minutes for questions. I know I spoke a little fast, so if you want me to repeat anything again or delve in a little bit further in what I talked about, I tried to keep it kind of audience friendly as much as possible.
Do you find yourself making healthier choices when you meal prep?
Yes. So lots of nutrition and psychology studies show that people tend to eat more fruits and vegetables, or just tend to eat healthier when fruits and vegetables are available and visible. So that's why I have these see-through containers, and I keep most of my healthy fruits and vegetables and whole grains at eye level, as well as in my pantry. I didn't touch on snacks, but usually I have pre-packed containers of some trail mix that are in eye level, and I try to keep, you know, the chips and the other tempting foods up on top so I don't see it right away. It's just a psychology tactic that I like to follow, and it's been heavily studied. So but yes, meal prepping, I know that I snack on more carrots and bell peppers if I see them already cut up in front of me when I open the fridge.
Are there any vegetables that you should, that are gonna go bad more quickly? And so to just be careful about prepping them too early to avoid waste.
Yes, so that is a good point. And for me, I'm not an expert on the duration of food. I kind of just play it by ear. Like, I know if I didn't cut up the cherry tomatoes, that would stay fresh longer. And then also my prepared foods, you know, that's a shorter duration too because it's cooked. How I keep my vegetables crispy is I have this container that I invested in to keep my greens fresh longer. But it's really, I guess, trial and error. If it looks a little mushy too soon, then maybe compost it or but yeah, it's definitely hard. But something like canned beans, for instance, it's already in its container, you know, like in a can. So rather than putting it into a separate container in the fridge, maybe just open it whenever you need it. Same with other canned or frozen fruits and vegetables.
Mm-hmm. So I think that pasta has become kind of a go-to during this time because it's, you know, stable and it's inexpensive. Can you recommend? There are a lot of, you know, there's some that's whole grain, some that's like made of, some that's gluten-free. Can you recommend any pastas that are healthier than others?
Okay, well, in terms of nutrient density, I would say whole grain pastas over white pastas. But if you're having a white pasta salad and there's already a lot of vegetables in it, then, you know, it's okay to have because you're having the fiber and the micronutrients in it. Gluten-free has become an up and coming trend, and there's a lot more gluten-free options because a lot more people claim to be gluten-free. But I think that it's nutrient dense, maybe just as nutrients dense as whole grain pasta, because it has that fiber content that people are looking for. It's not really all that magically different. It is higher in protein, but if you have a whole grain pasta, I know that whole grain pasta and white pastas tend to be cheaper than the gluten-free alternative. So if you have that and then maybe pair it with some beans, canned beans, that's probably just as fine.
So there's a question about how do you make whole grain pasta taste better?
Well, with whole grain pastas, I don't typically have them if I'm having it like separately. I like that incorporated into like a meal, like a pasta bake, so that it doesn't have that like gritty taste that whole grains have. So you can, if you have a pasta bake, maybe you taste the cheese first, it's a little bit more potent. If you have a lot of strong accompaniments with the whole grain pastas, then it might mask the taste of whole grains.
And is veggie pasta better than white pasta?
White pasta?
Yeah. Is it the pastas that have the vegetables in them?
So I guess if someone were to ask me that during a meeting, a consultation with them, I would say if you typically don't eat like vegetables on your plate and you tend to avoid vegetables, but you love vegetable pasta for some reason instead, then yes, that is healthier for you. But if you have white pasta and then and you also love vegetables just as much, then I would say that's just as healthy as veggie pasta.
Yeah, so the whole vegetables have more nutrients in them than the pasta.
Yes, yes. But for those people who don't like vegetables in general, but love the vegetable alternatives like the veggie pasta, then I would say that's better than not having any vegetables at all.
Somebody who just arrived said, do you suggest counting calories, or do you believe in it's not what you eat, but how much of it?
I don't get too focused on the calories itself. Your body's pretty smart in telling you, I need more food, stop feeding me. But I do focus on just the nutrient density, like focus on having that Harvard eating plate. So if people had just started joining, Tyler will be sending this out to everyone. But in the beginning, I had mentioned following this healthy eating plate that Harvard had created, which is a mix of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy proteins, as well as healthy oils. So in terms of calories, I mean, a lot of people are so bogged down with counting calories. In fact, there is a standard deviation of 20% in a lot of our food labels of the calories. So really, the numbers aren't even 100% accurate. So I wouldn't really focus on that too much. Just notice the nutrient density of your plate.
I think that one of the points for anybody that is just joining that Sabrina made at the beginning is eating the rainbow. So if she talked a little bit about the even kind of the rule of thumb around the peppers, that the warmer the colors, the more nutrient dense it is. Do you want to just repeat that? I'm not saying it as well as you did.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's fine. So what Kathy was referring to when I gave this pepper example here is I was focusing on talking about vitamin C as one of the many key nutrients that helps boost your immune system. And I had asked the audience what they think, which of the colored peppers has the most vitamin C in it. And the answer is red pepper. Red pepper has more vitamin C and vitamin A than the other three colors here. And in terms of eating the rainbow, if you eat all the colors of the rainbow, kind of just what I have in this bowl right here, red, orange, yellow, green, and then I have purple, and then whole grains, you're assuring your body that you are eating enough nutrients for your body to sustain and function well, as well as kind of boost that overall immune system, because you're getting the micronutrients and the macronutrients in a more holistic manner.
Great. Any more questions from folks? Can you recommend some other combinations for the bowl, like you did for the smoothie?
Yeah, sure. So I had made a Greenfields Power Salad bowl. If anyone's ever been to Greenfields, that's one of my favorites. But let's say I'm feeling a little bit, I want to have an Asian-inspired power bowl. I have steamed edamame in the fridge, some sliced cucumber, tomato. I have some salmon, and I can make brown rice, as well as sesame dressing. I can make an Asian, like a poke bowl type dish, and that's one. I mean, really, it's all about your preferences. You can make a taco bowl. You can add, instead of feta cheese here, so you can have your black beans, your peppers, your tomatoes, your quinoa, Mexican cheese. Maybe you can roast a Mexican-inspired chicken with chili and lime and all of that, and guacamole on the side. Lots of different combinations. I really believe that it's really up to the person's preferences, and I can only recommend. So,
Great. All right, here's another question. Do you buy into the microbiome diet? And if so, can you suggest a couple of accessible store purchases?
I'll be honest, I don't know the quote-unquote microbiome diet, but I do know that it is important to feed yourself to create a healthy gut microbiome, because a healthy gut microbiome can really play into overall health and immunity. So with a healthy gut microbiome, you really want to focus on prebiotic and probiotic foods. So probiotic foods are your fermented foods, like, kimchi, yogurt, the things that taste sour. Those are some really great probiotic, kefir, great probiotic type foods. And then the prebiotic is a food for that bacteria. So the probiotic is the bacteria, the prebiotic is the food for the bacteria. And you can get your prebiotics by just eating the rainbow of fruits and the rainbow. So eating all your fruits and vegetables, bacteria love that. And also, whole grains as well. But I'm not too familiar with the marketing of the microbiome diet. That's pretty new to me. So I don't know if there's particular brand products focused on a microbiome diet. But all I know is that you can definitely feed your gut with the foods that are naturally made, like fruits and vegetables and whole grains. So,
great.
Yeah.
Do you ever use fermented stuff on your power bowl salads?
Yeah, so I have a jar of kimchi in my fridge that I like to add to my salads if I want to. There's sauerkraut, and I love having Greek yogurt too. That's something I do put in my smoothie if I don't really feel like having I don't feel like having protein powder. I add Greek yogurt, and that has a lot of really great bacteria for your gut.
Great, great. And that the person that mentioned that Microbiome Diet said it's just big on fermented foods. That the focus is.
Yeah, I wouldn't focus all your meals on just eating fermented foods. Be sure to supplement that with foods for the bacteria. And that's generally the healthy eating plate here. A lot of really great prebiotic foods for the bacteria.
Thank you. Any more questions before we wrap up?
Lots of really great questions. I'm happy to further discuss it with anyone. Just feel free to reach out to me.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Sabrina. This was